Trust is like, we're not just taking all your life insurance, but we got our own life insurance on you that keeps replenishing. And that's probably also why the big families also have so many kids and all of that. I get it. And I didn't know. It's actually very interesting.
And that's what all of us need to be operating like that, where we own nothing, but we control everything. You control the house, the car, the money. A lot of us, we don't even think that our clients want to sue us, but they do. Your neighbor wants to sue you. Your sibling wants to sue you.
What's up, world? Welcome back to the Tuned In with Tony podcast. And I have a special guest today, Christina Ivette, that's going to be talking about trust. And I don't know much about trust, but I know that they can be super beneficial to protecting your assets, helping you generate wealth. So we're going to ask her all of the questions today so that you can get yourself a trust and start protecting those assets. So welcome to the show, Christina. How you doing?
Thank you so much, Tony. I'm super excited to be here today. Thank you for inviting me onto the show.
Awesome. So first question I have is, what exactly is a trust like? And when I say that, I've heard a lot of trust and you think about like just wealthy, like the elite can deal with it. And most people probably think that like a trust doesn't even make sense for them. So explain exactly what a trust is just to start out the show.
Absolutely. So a trust is one of the most powerful entities in the world. So it is an entity just like an LLC, just like a corporation. And the way that it actually is created is through a contract. So it is what we call a contractual entity, and it can do anything and everything that a natural person can do. So there's no limits to what a trust can do.
Got you. So sometimes when you see athletes and they go through like something bad, divorce or whatever, and they're protected, is that because they're hiding their stuff in trust? And let's talk about that. When people say hiding in a trust, is it actually hiding or are they just ahead of the game?
No, so it's not hiding. It's just that they decided not to own the assets directly. So the house, the car, the jewelry, they're not owning it in their own name. So they have that entity that's owning it, and it kind of conceals their identity, which is really what you want.
Gotcha. It's kind of like a saying that I've heard before that goes, own nothing, control everything.
Yeah,
is that kind of how it's
it sure is. That's exactly what it is. And that's so powerful. And that's what all of us need to be operating like that, where we own nothing, but we control everything. You control the house, the car, the money.
And why would they not want to own it, though, and control it? And the reason why I say that is because the American dream has taught us, own your house, own your this, own your building, don't lease, whatever. But like, what is the biggest protection? Let's talk about like the pain point, because I think that's understandable.
Yes.
When you own everything, give us a situation where you're just like, dang, if they would have had that in a trust, they would have been protected.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So the reason why you don't want to own anything is because tomorrow is not promised. So what if you don't wake up tomorrow? A lot of us, we think that we're going to live forever, but we're not. And so if you own that house in your name, if you have that bank account with that $1 million and it's in your name, if you don't wake up tomorrow, then how are your kids, your spouse, your family members, how are they going to get access to it?
Gotcha.
So that means that you forcing them to go to court. And now it's going to be up to a judge that doesn't know who your kids are. They don't know your family, your parents or whoever, right? So you are actually doing your family a disservice, right? So that's for the next generation.
Okay.
Right? So you want them to get their inheritance. But what about you, right? So what if somebody comes after you? What if they decide to sue you? Like one of your clients, right? A lot of us, we don't even think that our clients want to sue us, but they do. Your neighbor wants to sue you. Your sibling wants to sue you, right? And so what if they decide to sue you? They can take your house away from you. They can garnish your wages, garnish your entire bank account, and seize all your assets. Why? Because you decided that you wanted to follow the American dream and have everything in your personal name.
So what's the process of getting a trust? Like, is it, I don't want to talk about like cost or anything like that yet, but like, is it, like, because like you hear LLC, right? So when you hear the word like LLC and they say that protects you, where exactly is that different from a trust?
Yeah, okay. So let's talk about the LLC real quick, because LLC stands for Limited Liability Company, right? So you hear it in the actual name that your liability is limited. So if the company has limited liability, who do you think has the other half of that liability? It's the person operating the company, which is you. So a lot of people think that their LLC is going to protect their assets, but it's not, right? There's something called a corporate veil, and it's that little tiny umbrella that protects you. You have the smallest little bit of protection with an LLC. A trust can take full liability, 100% of the liability, just in case something happens. And so a trust can protect you from things like probate, from divorce, right? A lot of us, we don't think that that day is going to come, right? From lawsuits, from even heavy taxes, right? Foreclosures. There's so many reasons why a trust is going to protect you, and it's going to protect the asset that's inside of the trust.
Got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you asked what are the steps?
Yeah. What are the steps to get on?
Right. So what the steps are is you actually have to create that contract, right? So a trust is an agreement. You got to create that agreement. So there's a couple different parties involved. You have the grantor, which is the person who creates the trust. They appoint the trustee. The trustee is the person who controls the trust. And then you have the beneficiaries, which are the people who are going to inherit all of the assets that are inside of the trust. So all it takes is for you to create the contract, get it notarized. Once it's notarized, then you go and open up that bank account. So you'll go get an EIN just like you normally would with an LLC. And then once you have that EIN, go open up that trust fund with whatever bank that you choose. Fund it with whatever amount, $100, $1,000, whatever it is. At that point, you can start operating the trust just like you operate an LLC or a corporation.
Got you. So instead of it saying Tony Smith on everything, everything's going to say the name of the trust.
Exactly. And because you said Tony Smith, what I want you to know is do not name your trust Tony Smith.
Got you.
That's a dead giveaway. And a lot of people make that mistake. And I don't want anybody in here to make that mistake.
So when you said dead giveaway for what? Because I think for the audience listening, what we need to let them know is it sounds like there's more than just the trust, right? And so if you don't want to give your name, is it because people are going to search it and find it and whatever? So let us know.
Yeah. So when you're naming the trust, there's two things. One, you don't want to name the trust after yourself. A lot of people make that mistake in society. They'll go set up a trust for themselves, put their personal assets in it, and name the trust the Tony Smith Trust. That's a big mistake because if somebody wants to sue you, they're going to go after the Tony Smith Trust. Exactly. Yeah. So you want it to have a very unique name. Like it could be Blue Daisy's Estate. Blue Daisy's Estate has nothing to do with Tony Smith.
Correct.
So they're not going to even try to go after it because they don't know that you're associated with it. They don't know that you're the trustee controlling all the assets that's inside of that estate. The second thing is do not even have the word trust in the name. Because you don't even want people to know that it is a trust entity. Let their minds wander and think that it's something else.
What happens if they do find the name of the trust, though? Are you still protected? Or?
Yeah, you're still protected because the trust is not registered, right? So just like with an LLC, how you'll go to the Secretary of State and you see all the information, right? Why? Because it's on the public records. A trust is not on the public records. So even if they see the name, they're not going to know that you're associated. They're not going to know who the beneficiaries are. They're not going to even know what assets are owned by that trust.
Gotcha.
Which is good. So don't register your trust.
So that's good that you kind of like laid the playing field out so that we understand what a trust is. Because I've seen the word. It's like a catchword I see on social media.
Yeah.
So now that we kind of know what it is, we're talking more about how did you just like fall into this business of doing trust for people? What interested in you? Like, how did you get there?
Yeah, so I have been a trustee for 10 years.
Okay.
The way that I fell into it was by way of real estate. I love real estate and I have been flipping houses for 10 years. So when I first got into real estate, the first property that I bought, my mentor told me, Christina, you need to put that property into a trust. And I was just like a lot of people. I was like, what the heck is a trust? I didn't know. But I took heed to what he was saying because he'd been in the game so long. So I was like, okay, let me go ahead and set up a trust. I'm the trustee and I put that property into a trust. And so from that property for the last 10 years, I've been operating trust. And so 4 years ago, like at the height of the pandemic, a lot of people were asking me about structure. And so I started sharing about a trust and they were like, okay, can you tell me more? Can you tell me more? And it kind of fell into me starting to teach people about trusteeship. It's not only for you to set up a trust, you need to know how to properly operate the trust.
Gotcha.
So that's the major difference, and that's what people need to know is trusteeship.
Got you. Break down what is a trustee for the audience.
Okay, so a trustee is the person who actually controls the trust. So they are like the person who's going to sign on behalf of the trust. They manage all the assets that are inside of the trust. They have full control over the trust funds. They are the ones who are issuing distributions to the beneficiaries. So just like how you have an authorized member for an LLC,
Yeah.
or a CEO for a corporation, that's what the trustee is.
So is this kind of like in movies when we see like maybe the parents die or something like that, and then there's like this guy that probably works at some legal office, and they're like, well, you can't get this until you like complete 4 years of college and you're 18. Is that because maybe dad wrote that into the trust? Is that what we're seeing?
Yes. And so what you're talking about is called spendthrift provisions.
Okay.
So those are the rules and regulations that are inside of the trust that actually qualify the beneficiaries to receive distributions.
Okay.
So sometimes they might have an age restriction or education restriction or like even lifestyle. So you can put yourself in a position to where you get to control the money from the grave and let them, work for it.
Yeah, that sounds super interesting.
Yeah.
So now for people whose mind is thinking, what would be the difference from a will and a trust? Because my mind first went to like, well, if I wrote this in my will, I'd be good. Because I had a friend, his father passed, and then he was like, my dad didn't write the will, and now all the real estate is in probate. And I haven't been able to it's harder at home right now because we weren't able to get that money. So what's the difference between a trust and a will?
That's a really good question. So a will is pretty much it's a last will and testament, right? So it's your last wishes. It is an instrument that they use, and pretty much they want the courts to carry out what your last wishes are. But a will can't own anything. So a will is not an entity. It's just a wish list, to be very honest with you. A will automatically goes to probate, right? Now with a trust is an entity. It can own the assets, right? So a trust is designed to outlive you, which is a good thing, right? Because when that time comes, the trust can continue to operate and continue to own everything. And so that is the major difference. Now, everything that's inside of the will can go inside of the trust, right? All of those rules, regulations, all of those wishes can go inside of the trust. So you definitely want to trust, because the trust is the only way that you're going to avoid probate. And that's the goal. You don't want your family to end up in court having to fight for everything.
Mm-hmm. So what about the people listening to this right now that says, that sounds great, but that sounds like some rich people stuff, right? So what do we tell people? Like, is it only for people like who have a lot of assets? Because I can see somebody watching this right now that's like, who knows what I'll have when I'm gone, right? So I probably shouldn't spend my time, energy setting that up. How do you answer that client or that potential that comes to you?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So a trust is for anybody and everybody,
Okay.
right? And I would definitely say it's for people who have assets now. So even if you have one house,
Okay.
even if you have a car and it's paid off, even if you have $20,000 in the bank, right? If you are gone tomorrow and you want that $20,000 to go to your family, you might as well put it into a trust, right? Because if not, then it's going to end up in probate. And the first thing that they're going to do is they're going to use that $20,000 to pay off your credit card bills and the hospital bills, right? Yep. So that's what you want. A lot of people think that you need $1 million in order to create a trust. You don't.
Yeah.
No, it literally, you can start a trust with $1. Right? As long as you got that contract is notarized, you go open up that bank account. So you don't need $1 million in order to open up a trust.
And that's good to think about as well, because a lot of times we don't think about like having assets for real, even though we own a home that has, loan attached to it. It has equity attached to it. We don't think about our car. We don't really think about probably even our life insurance.
Yeah.
All of those things that can, deal with it. I see how the trust. Now, my next question is, I want to talk about, does life insurance and trust have any overlap at all? Do they work together? Completely different? What answer that question for?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And life insurance and a trust is a marriage. That's like their spouses.
Okay.
For real. They go together, and these are the two tools that you need for preservation, right? A lot of people, we we're so focused on making the money that we never ask ourselves, how is this money going to be preserved or last, 10 generations down the line, right? And so what you need is you need trust in life insurance. So what happens is the trust is actually going to own your life insurance policy. You are going to be the insured. The trust is going to pay the premiums, and the trust is going to be the beneficiary. So if anything happens to you, that death benefit, like $2 million, it goes straight to the trust. The trust is now replenished.
Gotcha.
So the trust is going to insure every single person that is associated with the trust. So not only you, but your kids.
Got you. So now I'm thinking, when you said the word trustee, I don't know if this was the right term, but is that the person that's actually like managing it? So do you have to like put them on a payroll? How does that work? Of the person who's actually calling the shots according to your orders when you were here, like with the trust?
Yep. So the trustee is the person who has full control. They are the ones that are calling the shots.
Okay.
So they can benefit from the trust in any kind of way. So you can put them on a payroll, you can do 1099, or they can just benefit from the trust.
Okay.
Another way is they can also take loans from the trust, and they can give loans to the trust as well.
Okay. So when you say they can take loans from the trust, who is they?
The trustee.
Okay.
Yes.
So if you're working on the trust, you can take a loan against it. Like, let's say it's like Mr. Kendrick right here, and then you're the trustee. You can take a loan on Mr. Kendrick's stuff, or is I heard that completely wrong?
So if they are the trustee of the trust, and let's just say that the trust has $1 million and the trustee needs $50,000 tomorrow, they can borrow $50,000 from the trust.
Okay. And who is usually appointed as a trustee? Are there like services where it's like, let's say someone's like, I don't got a lot going on and I don't want to just pay somebody to be my trustee. Are there like services where like people are this a trustee over multiple?
Yes, exactly. So I always tell people that you want to be the trustee of your trust.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so you're going to appoint yourself as the trustee.
Okay.
Okay, just like when you go to open up a business tomorrow, who are you going to appoint as the owner of the business?
Gotcha. See, I was thinking it was like some lawyer was the person that's over the trust.
Gotcha. No. So you're the trustee, you're the person who's controlling everything, and then you have to choose someone that's going to take over after you. That person is called a successor trustee. So remember, the trust is designed to outlive you, so you already need to have the next person ready to go.
Got you. Okay. So when it comes to the trust, does that also go into like when you're applying for like your credit cards and loans? Is that all in the trust as well?
You can place those things into it. So a trust can have its own credit card, its own mortgage. The trust can build credit. So it can have its own thing, just like how your LLC can have its own credit profile.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got you. So how do you deal with the trust when it's like you want to start, you're like, hey, I learned about this trust, they're watching your YouTube, right?
Yeah.
They start their own and then they try to start getting stuff in the trust name, but creditors are like, no, we want you to personally guarantee everything. So now you're kind of like in the gray. You're still signing everything, your name's and everything, but you kind of have this trust. How do you navigate through that?
That's a really good thing. I would say for people that want to go ahead and acquire assets, they need to go down the funding route where they look credible, right? So the trust needs to have bank statements, needs to be able to have proof of income so that it can stand on its own, because it's designed to sustain itself.
Okay.
Right? So you want the trust to get its own mortgage and everything like that. So I would tell people to start building up the trust credit profile with those net 30 accounts so that it can stand on its own 2 feet and you don't have to PG.
Got you. Okay. And now when I heard you say the word trust fund, just to like kind of laugh in the middle of this, explain trust fund, baby.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that. Okay. So a trust fund baby is a beneficiary that is born into the trust, right? So when you set up your trust, right, you're going to list your children as a beneficiary. Whoever is going to come after them, right? They are what we call trust fund babies. So your kids' kids, right? So if your kids have, let's just say they have half of the beneficial interest of the trust, and then they have 2 kids that are born into it, those children are trust fund babies that are just born into the trust. And then the trust automatically is going to take out life insurance policies once those babies are 30 days old.
Got you.
Yep.
Okay. So my next question then would be, how does the trust not run out, or is it designed to run out? So let's think about this. Like, let's go rich. Let's think about like billionaire kids, right? Like there is this company where I was from. They owned a company called Pilot Oil, right? And they're the Haslams, as now Jimmy owns the Cleveland Browns. But they got kids, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure those kids aren't working regular jobs. They probably all have the trust, all that. How are they just being taken care of to where it's like the money just doesn't deplete? Does the trust keep making money?
Yes. So one, the trust is designed to sustain itself. So you want the trust to acquire assets that are income producing assets. But then you want the trust to park that money in places where it's going to multiply, right? And so that's why the trust has to go out and get those life insurance policies on everyone, because that is how it's going to continue to be replenished, right? Because inside of the trust, let's just say it lasts 200, 300 years, people are coming and going, people are dropping like flies, right? And so the trust fund is replenished every single time that a person is
Life insurance.
yes.
That's
So
where it's connected.
exactly. Every time somebody expires, it's 2 million, 3 million, 5 million. Every time somebody is born into the trust, right? So for example, those kids that you're talking about, right? They're born into the trust, they get life insurance policies when they're 30 days old. Now the trust is paying those premiums. Those premiums are earning compound interest. So that's how they're never going to run out of money.
Got you.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. So, and then the thing with life insurance too, my mom does insurance. So I always hear about it, right?
Yeah.
I don't know everything, but you can have multiple life insurance policies, right?
Exactly.
So this trust is like, we're not just taking all your life insurance, but we got our own life insurance on you
Yep.
that keeps replenishing. And that's probably also why the big families also have so many kids and all of that. I get it. And
Yeah,
see, I didn't know. That's
exactly.
it's actually very interesting.
Yep.
So you think about that.
That's
So-
a strategy to build wealth.
It is, you know what I mean? So let's talk about this. Trust for personal versus trust for entrepreneurs. What do you see the difference, or is there a difference?
Oh, there's a major difference. So for the trust for a personal is for family. So that's for me and that's for like my kids, right?
Yep.
And so all of my personal assets that has nothing to do with a trust. So my primary residence, the car that I drive that's not for business purposes, maybe my stocks, my crypto, my jewelry, my handbags, things like that. My personal life insurance policies, they're going to go inside of the trust, those assets, right? And so that has nothing to do with business versus a business trust. That is a whole nother beast. So with a business trust, is designed to operate other legal entities like LLCs and corporations. And that is for your entrepreneurs. So all of the assets that goes in there are LLCs. LLCs are assets. So they go right into the business trust. So the business trust actually owns the LLCs. So we, as the authorized members, we need to take ourselves off of the Secretary of State and we need to add the business trust, because now the business trust is going to take full liability for those LLCs and anything that's associated with that business. So if there's a brick and mortar lease, if there is like a commercial vehicle or anything like that, anything related to business will go inside of that business trust.
Got you. And you may have just answered the question. My next question was going to be, what are some of the mistakes that you see business owners make when dealing with trust, especially when they just see trust as a hot word on social media and they like buy a trust kit? Like, what main mistake are they making?
Yeah, so the main mistakes that I see is with business owners, a lot of us, we made the mistake already to have our LLC in our name, right? So that is a major mistake that we need to get restructured, right? So if you recognize that you're not structured the right way, you need to get restructured. So it's important for them to have that business trust, because that business trust is now going to act like a holding company. You have to treat it like a holding company to where it's non-operational. So there's no products or no services, and you're going to continue to operate your business the way that it has already been operating. So that's one of the things, is structure.
Got you. So let's give an example. Entrepreneur, we talked about like how your clients will sue you or may sue you, whatever it is, right? Give a clear example of how the trust protects you in an event of a lawsuit. You know,
Well, yes, absolutely.
let's just say you have an actual bigger company, a construction company, someone gets hurt on the job and they get
Yes.
sued. How does
Yep.
that trust protect you?
Yeah, okay. So right now, the way that your average entrepreneur is structured, right? So they are the authorized members of these LLCs. Somebody gets injured on the job, right? So that person who got injured on the job, they're going to go ahead and sue the LLC. It's easy to find out how to sue the LLC because the LLC is on the Secretary of State, it's on the public records, right?
Yeah.
So it's easy for them to serve the LLC. Now, if they decide to go through litigation, then what's going to happen is they're going to sue them. There's going to be a judgment. Let's say that person that got injured on the job sues the LLC for $500,000. If that LLC doesn't have $500,000, then what's going to happen is the judge is going to pierce through that corporate veil. They're going to go after the owner of the business for the $500,000. So if you have that in your personal name, or even if your house is worth $500,000, they're going to seize your house, liquidate it so that they can pay that judgment. So that is dangerous. And so how the trust protects us is the trust is going to take over for you as the authorized member. So now in that same scenario, what's going to happen is if the judge decides to pierce through the corporate veil, they're going to go after the trust, right? And so because it's a business trust, you are only going to be operating in like a holding company. So that means that you're not going to have like a lot of cash in there. You're not going to have a lot of assets in there. So if they try to come after the trust, then they can try, but it doesn't mean that they're able to serve the trust. So that's one. If they are able to serve the trust, it doesn't mean that the trust is able to fulfill that judgment. And worst case scenario, you could bankrupt the trust.
Got you. Got you. So what is a reason that you see like when most people come up to you where they're like the reason why they don't move forward with the trust, right? So let's say, for instance, with life insurance, people are not thinking about the future, right? They're like, well, I'm not dead yet, so I don't need life insurance, right? What is it with trust that usually hold people back?
Yeah, so some people, they don't have assets, and so they're like, oh, I don't need it because I don't have an asset, when the trust is the foundation of everything. So do you want to get an asset one day?
Yeah.
Well, have your trust already set up versus you doing it the other way around.
Got you. Got you.
Yeah.
And who actually is like the trust? Like who actually, like, let's say for instance with life insurance, it's going to be through a State Farm or some insurance or Berkshire Hathaway, whatever it is, Merrill Lynch. Who is the trust?
Yeah, so the trust is the trust.
Okay.
So there is no like financial institution or anything like that. So the trust is its own entity. It stands on itself, and it's able to operate because of the contract.
Yeah.
And it's private.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah.
It's another thing I'm thinking as well. When you deal with it, like let's say when you have personal money, right? It could easily be scammed. You know, someone finds your debit card, they're buying stuff in Home Depot in a whole nother state, right? What happens with the trust? Is the money just parked somewhere completely different? Like, how does that not just like you get a call and it's like, hey, someone stole half the money. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's still FDIC with the trust funds, but the trust funds are a little bit different. So you have like brokerage accounts, you have cash management accounts,
Got you.
and then you have like your money market accounts, and then your traditional checking and savings accounts. All of those types of accounts are considered trust funds. And the word trust fund is really to hold the funds that belong to the trust.
Got you. And when I think about it as well, it actually is a fund, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm hearing a lot of similarities to investment, right? So pretty much the trust is always working to where it's like that money's not just sitting in a bank account. It's being like leveraged to like make money while it's sitting there, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So break that down just like, does the trustee have to do that, or do you have to bring in like a financial advisor to work that account?
Yeah, so you can do both ways. Financial advisors are great, or the trustee can do something that we talk about, which is a more passive approach to where the trust is going to open up a brokerage account with those financial institutions. Let's just say Fidelity, right? And then they're going to open up that brokerage account and start investing in the stocks or the bonds, and that's how they're able to secure those investments.
Got you.
Yeah, under the trust.
Under the trust.
Yeah.
Okay. So now listening, somebody's like, this sounds great, right? Let's go back over like, how do you get a trust? Like, because, you know, let's think if they want a bank account, They walk into Bank of America, they start an account, or they go online. They start an LLC, they go to LegalZoom.com. How do they start a trust?
Yeah. So there's many different ways that they can start a trust. They can definitely, like you said, go to LegalZoom if they want to. They can go to estate planners and estate attorneys if they want to. So there's many different ways that you're able to create these contracts. My company, we assist with those contracts as well, where they can set up a business trust, they can set up a personal trust for their family, and they can also set up a nonprofit trust.
Got you. So I was going to ask you about that too, because we didn't talk about nonprofits. How do they use trust? Because their world is a lot different. You know what I mean? So with you worked with nonprofits before?
Yeah.
What is that like working with them and their trust?
Yeah, so you have different types of trusts that are nonprofit or they're like charity based. And so with these types of trusts, it just depends on how you structure it to where they can automatically be exempt from having to file for federal taxes.
Okay.
They can also be exempt from other types of taxes like state, county taxes, property taxes, sales taxes, stuff like that. But you have to go through the qualification process to show that, hey, this is a charity trust and this is the type of nonprofit that we're serving or doing for the community, so that they can get approved for that exemption.
Got you. So there's a lot of benefits with the trust. What we didn't talk about, I don't know if there is.
Yeah.
Do people ever like push more of their money into the trust to avoid taxes or anything? Is that a thing?
So there's a lot of tax benefits
Okay.
with trust. So for example, a lot of us, we don't even know that there's a death tax, right? And so the IRS is going to tax you when you die.
Is
Yes,
it?
exactly. Your estate. So if you had $30,000 in your checking account that was in your personal name, the IRS is gonna hit it with a death tax, right? And then if your children go and try to claim those 30,000, they're gonna hit your children with an inheritance tax, right? So those are taxes that we can avoid because the trust is not dead, right? So there's no death tax,
Okay.
right? So there's a lot of good benefits with the trust. Now, the way a tax strategy that we use is we'll have one trust be the beneficiary of another trust. So for example, a lot of us, we are entrepreneurs. So we are running this business trust. And so what we do is we'll make the family trust the beneficiary of the business trust so that we're not, taxed heavily. So for example, if $100,000 came in, instead of us paying taxes on the $100,000 that just came into the trust, what we can do is we can send it to the family trust. And then now the business trust doesn't have to pay any taxes, zero taxes on that 100,000.
Got you. And that's what I was wondering too. Do people have multiple trusts? But it seems like they do.
Yeah, you gotta have multiple trusts.
Got you.
Yes, you cannot put all your assets in one place.
Got you. I see what you're saying. So the next question that I have as well is someone can get overwhelmed, right?
Oh, yeah.
Is this what would make it more sense to come to a business like yours, work with you? Because even going to LegalZoom, from everything that you're telling me, it seems like this could be very overwhelming.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
and how do you kind of take that stress off of them versus them going like, and let's break it down even more. If they go online, what are they kind of left with versus probably doing a done for you service working with you?
Okay. So if they go online, they're going to get a stack of papers.
Yep.
And they're not going to know what to do with it.
Correct.
They're not going to know how to operate it. They're not going to know how to open up a bank account. They're not going to know how to transfer their assets. They're not going to even know tax strategies. They're not going to know anything.
Got you.
And sometimes that's also their experience if they go to like another firm to get it done as well. It's like, okay, we'll create the contract for you, but that's it. We don't help you with nothing else.
Got you.
And so for us, what we do is we train you on how to actually operate the trust. We train you on how to transfer all of your assets into the trust, how to get your EIN, how to build credit for the trust, how to acquire new assets for the trust.
Yeah.
And how to have board meetings. A lot of us, we don't even have board meetings.
Why do they need board meetings? Just wondering.
Yeah, because so the trust is required to have at least one board meeting a year, and that's because there's multiple parties involved.
Gotcha.
And so you want to have one annual meeting so to be transparent on what the financial status of the trust is.
And who would you have that with? The family?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And it's just like one big meeting.
Yeah, exactly. And that meeting could be held anywhere in the world. So if you want to have it in Dubai, all expenses paid by the trust, you can.
Okay. Nice. Nice. That's so. Hey,
Yes.
the trust. So, what is like the ongoing expenses of managing the trust? And I'm not saying like just like investment in this, but I'm thinking about the person who's just thinking about getting started. Maybe they had just have, like you said, their home and they're like, you know what, let me just prepare and do like get right. You know what I mean? So once they get started, are they putting somebody on payroll or is it not that deep at the beginning?
It's not that deep at the beginning.
Okay.
So they don't need to put anybody on payroll. So for example, if you don't want to operate the trust yourself, you can hire what we call a GTM, which stands for General Trust Manager,
Okay.
right? If you don't want to do all the ins and outs of managing the assets that are inside of the trust, because that's what it looks like. It looks like you you working on your documentation, on your reporting, accounting, and just being able to manage those assets. If there's a house inside of the trust, then the trust is financially responsible for that house. So the trust is responsible for filing the taxes, for the utilities and all this stuff, right? And so you can delegate all that stuff to somebody else if you want to, but generally we do it ourselves in the beginning, and it's not really that labor intensive. It's just like running a business. Yeah, so us entrepreneurs, like, we're overqualified.
So what would just happen in the event that somebody didn't do right by their trust, right? Are they still coming after the guarantor?
No, they don't come after the guarantor. So if so the trust, the person who's responsible is the trustee. And sometimes we do find that they're grossly negligent. And if that's the situation, then what can happen is if you have a protector inside of the trust, they can remove the trustee. If you don't, then the beneficiaries will have to take the trust to court to have them removed. But we have seen instances where they're just not doing right by the trust.
Okay.
And so that person needs to be replaced.
Gotcha. Random question. You may not even have the answer. I'm just trying to make it also more relatable to people. What are like some like celebrity situations that we've seen where like the trust was either like very beneficial or like it was a situation where like the regular audience didn't even know, but this was like trust news. So do you know any of those? I'm trying to think like so Wendy Williams or something like
so
what's an observer when they like can't spend their own money? You know, like those situations.
Yeah, so those are where, and that goes back to like when you have an estate, right? When you have an estate and they feel like you are incompetent and you cannot operate.
Britney Spears.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So they have conservators. Conservators are people that are over, legally like adults and stuff, because they feel like that person is incompetent and can't handle their own affairs. So with the trust, if you have a conservator, then the trustee will pay the conservator for that person, right? So let's just say Britney Spears was a beneficiary, right? And so she needed to get some funds from the trust, but she has a conservator, then the trustee will pay the conservator.
Got you. And do they hire the conservator or does that come in unless something happens and the judge appoints them?
Yeah, it's the judge that appoints them.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah.
So much info.
Yeah, but one example that I wanted to give was about Tiger Woods, right? Tiger Woods, his mansion is inside of an irrevocable trust, and he had a living girlfriend, and she started suing him.
Remember that?
Yeah, she tried to sue him so that she could live in the mansion, and she ended up losing because the mansion is in a trust. It's not owned by him. And so she lost the lawsuit.
Man.
Yeah, and he right, he's fully protected. So shout out to Tiger Woods and his family.
Yeah.
Yes.
So break down what is irrevocable trust?
Yes, that's a really good question. So irrevocable trust means that the grantor cannot make any changes to the trust. So they can't amend it, they can't remove the trustee, they can't remove the beneficiaries, and they can't terminate the trust.
Gotcha.
So it's one of those trusts that we really say that it's like impenetrable. So if it was to end up in court, the judge would decide not to pierce through the trust.
Gotcha.
And if you can't pierce through the trust, then that means you're not going to know what the net worth is. You're not going to know what assets are in there. You're not going to know who the beneficiaries are. So that's that bulletproof trust that you want.
Got you. Okay. So someone who's watching this, their mind's blown. They're like, this is super exciting. How do they tap in with you, and like, what do you have to offer for them so that they can get started?
Yeah. So they can tap it with me. You can visit me on Instagram. So it's I am Christina Ivette. Ivette is Iveette. You can visit my website is wealthytrusty.com. You can also Google the brand name, which is the number 7 ways to wealth, and you'll be able to get in contact with us. And what we have to offer is the program to help you set up the 3 trusts, which is the business trust, the family trust, and the nonprofit. So we teach you from A to Z how to set it up, how to operate it, how to protect your assets, how to build wealth with it, how to even get the insurance policies.
Gotcha.
So you can either do it yourself with the course, or you can do done with you with our workshop, which is 1 week long, 5 days, or you could do done for you if you want to be hands off and allow the team to get it done for you.
Nice. And then with the done for you, who takes over it afterwards?
Yeah, so once it's done for you, we ship the trust to them and they are the trustees. So they appointed themselves as the trustee and they take over. So they go ahead and get it notarized and open up their bank accounts and do the funding.
Got you. See, those are the things I want to know. Like, how do you open the bank account with the trust?
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
a bit help.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we provide you with all the training step by step on how to do all of that.
Got you. Now, what happens in the workshop? What do you guys cover in there?
Yeah, so the workshop is dope. It's 5 days long, Monday through Friday, 11 to 2. So on Monday, we do everything dealing with the business trust. So I break down every single paragraph of the trust so that you guys can learn the contents of what's inside of the trust. You can't operate a trust efficiently if you don't know what's inside of the trust. Exactly. So I break it down and then we dive into Q&A. Tuesday, I break down the family trust. We dive into Q&A. Wednesday, we go through the nonprofit trust. We dive into Q&A. Thursday, it's all about bank accounts. It's all about funding, promissory notes, and how to have a board meeting. And then Friday, I teach you how to get your EINs, how to transfer all of your assets, meaning the house, the car, the business, and then how to do the infinite banking with the life insurance policies.
Before we go, you just said a whole nother word, infinite banking. I've seen that a lot. What is infinite banking?
Infinite banking is what we were talking about, which is the life insurance policies.
Gotcha.
So you're using it as your own bank, right?
Gotcha.
So you're the insured, but instead of you putting your money into Wells Fargo and Chase, you're going to put it into your life insurance policy because your life insurance policy has cash value, right? And so that cash value is earning compound interest because it's tracking the S&P 500. So because you're earning 9, 10, 11%, you're earning more inside of your insurance policy than you would inside of Wells Fargo or Chase. So that's why you want to use it as a private bank.
Got you. Wow, so much information. And then the workshop is completely jam-packed. They just go and register online to get in there?
Yep,
Put all the links at the bottom.
Yes, absolutely.
Before we get out of here, look into the camera and give the people the last word, which you would say of like why they need to trust, the limiting beliefs that they may be having, and just to push them forward to do the right thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So everyone needs a trust because you want to put yourself in a position to where you own nothing but control everything. You want to control that money from the grave because the trust is designed to outlive you. You cannot be building generational wealth if you don't have the tools to build generational wealth. So you need that trust and you need it like yesterday.
Hey, you heard her. That was my girl, Christina, telling us everything that we need to know about trust. I put all the links down below so that you can get right. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Tuna and Tony podcast.